Just finding a nice comfy seat. Maybe letting your eyes close here. Feeling into some nice, easy, fluid exchange of your inhale and exhale. Letting your shoulders soften, letting your jaw soften. Feeling into the softness of your respiration. So there's this farmer who lives in this farming community, a community that runs like clockwork. Things happen when they're supposed to happen, as they're supposed to happen. And when it feels appropriate, we'll allow the eyes to open if they're closed. Let's inhale and sweep both arms up towards the ceiling or sky, and then we'll lift our gaze. Keep the hands up, but exhale your head back to neutral. And as the head comes back to neutral, think about what's going on in the shoulder girdle. Think about relaxing the whole shoulder girdle. And then we'll inhale and we'll lift up the gaze. And then exhale, head comes back down. One more time, let's inhale the head up. We'll exhale the head back down, then drop our hands and sweep the arms behind you. If you can interlace the fingers behind you, do that. If not, maybe just grab the sides of the hands or shorts. With an exhale, let's turn our gaze over towards the left. And then we'll inhale back to neutral. And we'll exhale over towards the right. And inhale back to neutral. Exhale to the left. Inhale to neutral. Exhale to the right. And inhale to neutral. Relax ourselves out to a little seated forward fold. Think about the lumbar getting activated here, getting a little length here. Try to draw breath down into that lower lobe of the lungs. We'll walk ourselves the seat. Let's transition to hands on knees, tabletop. Setting your base position for tabletop here, getting the fingers splayed out nice and wide. With an exhale, round the back, tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone. With an inhale, drop the belly, lift the chin, lift the tailbone. Exhale, we reverse, middle of the back lifts, chin tucks, tailbone tucks. And inhale, we reverse that, belly drops, tailbone lifts, lifts. Just move a few more times here through these spinal articulations, thinking about the full flexion of the spine when you get into that cat shape, thinking about the full extension of the spine when you get into the cow shape, and just feeling how the musculature throughout the anterior and posterior of the torso respond to this flexion, extension, articulation. One more time in each direction. And eventually we'll come back to a neutral spine. Really think about the flat anterior posterior setup and just send your left foot straight back and behind you. Let that left toe mound connect into the mat and try to load the musculature of that left foot. So the ball of the left foot, the toe mound really receiving the weight. We want to have some flex in that left quad and some activation flex in that. And then draw that left knee back in line with the right. Reestablish your tabletop. You got to strengthen your finger mound so that the wrists aren't soft. And let's do the same thing to the second side. Right foot extends straight back. Right toe mound catches the mat. We think about the strength of that right quad and the activation of that high calf musculature. And then we'll bring that right knee back in line with the left, maybe a little lateral sway through the hips here, where we curl our toes, lift our seat, and express our way back into down dog. Breathe a little depth here. Then eventually we'll walk our way forward to the front of the mat. Inhale into half lift. And exhale back into fold. As you drop into that fold, just think about completely releasing from the belt line, from the hip crease. Just continually expanding your body's capacity to fold with each cycle of exhale. Let's take one more half lift. Think about extending the crown of the head as far out towards the front of your room or front of the room space as possible. And then drop back into your fold. Awareness drifts to the sacrum. We'll roll ourselves up vertebrae by vertebrae. Eventually coming into mountain. And from mountain, just thinking about developing that rooted stability that we can start to pull a little balance from. So let's take our left heel and just lift that. Just getting light into that left leg. And as you do that, note what's going on throughout the right leg, but also the right side of the body. So we want to maintain engagement on that left abdominal kind of band so that we're not just dropping to the right, that we're still structurally balanced. And then see what it feels like to take that left leg up to a little half Karate Kid. So we get that 90-degree-ish bend of the left knee and splay the toes out on the right foot. So you have a lot of connectivity there. And then just release your left foot down. Reestablish mountain. Think about rebalancing, especially across the hip girdle, where it's very easy to have dumped all the weight into the right side and us to be a little bit off key. And then we're going to do the same thing on the second side. So get light in the right foot. We just take that little bit of softness. We think about taking the weight out of the right leg before we ask for the balance. And then when it feels appropriate, we do that leg lift and we get that opportunity to balance. We splay the toes out on the left foot so that it is a wider base for us to balance from. And we make sure that we are maintaining that right abdominal activation all the way into the oblique. Eventually, when it feels appropriate, we'll just release that right foot down and we'll reestablish bilateral balance. And then let's send our left foot straight back and into lunge. So getting the depth of that left foot drop and keeping the torso nice and vertical. Sweep your arms up and fully express crescent. Good full fluid breath and re-engage that left high calf insertion. So we feel the toe mound active, splay the toes out on both feet. And then we'll just drop the hands and return to the front of the mat, reestablishing our vertical alignment in mountain. And then when it's appropriate, side two, right foot slides straight back. Right toe mound lands. We get the depth in that slide back. We keep the torso vertical, express crescent with the arm sweep. Think about the right calf activation, the right quad strength. No bend in that right leg. Smoothing into that front quad, really feeling that smooth, expansive energy without changing the geometry of the back leg. And then hands drop and we'll step to the front of the mat. Sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale through forward fold. Inhale into half lift. Go back into fold, plant your hands, walk your way back into down dog. Drive the length into the tailbone. Eventually, let's come down to hands and knees tabletop, flip the tops of the feet, and sink our way back into child's pose. We just melt our way into this child's pose space. Think about the anterior hip crease receiving the depth here. And so this farming community that runs like clockwork has these hard and fast dates that this particular farmer follows to the letter. He's always believed that rigorously following the schedule was the key to success. On the 1st of March, seedlings go in the ground. On July 4th, the plants are fertilized. And on September 25th, crops are harvested. And that happens every year on schedule, rain or shine. When it feels appropriate, let's let the hands slide out in front of us if they're not already, and we'll pull ourselves forward to hands and knees tabletop. Take the left foot and extend it straight back and behind you so that the left toe mound can capture the strength of the mat once again. And then just roll into a little modified down dog. A little asymmetry in the shape, a little extra pressure on that left foot and a little lightness on the right foot. Think about splaying the toes out and at the same time driving the energy into the heel to see if you can get the calf to receive a little bit more strength. And then let's come down to hands and knees tabletop. Left knee mirrors the right. A little lateral sway for the hips. We'll do the same thing to the second side. Right foot slides straight back. Right toe mound captures the mat. We'll roll up into a little modified down dog. Laying the toes out, getting that activation through the right side, light into the left side. Eventually, drop the left knee, bring the right knee back in line, a little more lateral sway. Curl both toes, lift the seat, and find your way into down dog. Lay the fingers out nice and wide. Think about as much width as you can across the hands. Let's walk our way forward into fold. We'll inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Drift your awareness to your sacrum and we'll roll ourselves up vertebrae by vertebrae. Coming into this mountain shape and settling across the hips. Bring our left knee up into a little half karate kid. And then see if you can either take the hands underneath the hamstring or on the shin. Either one of those positions doesn't feel right. Just stay in that half karate kid shape. If we can get a little compression through the anterior hip crease, let's think about lifting the knee. So from the hamstring or from the shin, just lifting that knee. Same time, we're not trying to roll or rock back. We're really trying to maintain our verticality from the calcaneus bone of the heel all the way through the posterior shoulder girdle. And then we'll release that left leg and reestablish mountain. Lay the toes out. Think about the balancing of the weight distribution across the hip girdle, balancing of the weight on the left, right side of both feet. When it feels appropriate, side two. Right knee comes up to half karate again. See if it feels accessible for the hamstring or the shin compression. And then we're just trying to lift the knee without changing the geometry of mountain. Note how the respiration can change and try to find your way back into the fluidity of the respiration. Eventually, we'll release that right leg, reestablish mountain. And let's send our left foot straight back and behind us. Sweep the arms to crescent. Strengthen that back leg. Left heel grounds, and we'll roll to warrior two. Wide opening across the hip girdle here. Good vertical line right from the middle of the pelvic bone to the base of the throat. Arms splayed out wide. You can gaze right down the middle of that right middle finger. And think about width across the shoulder girdle. When it feels appropriate, let's spin our left heel up and we'll find crescent. And then drop our hands and we'll return to the front of the mat. A little ease in mountain. Right foot slides straight back and behind you. Get your width, sweep your arms to crescent. Think about the strength in the right leg. Right heel grounds, and we roll our way to two. Wide, open medial line. Gaze right down the middle of the left middle finger. Shoulder girdle wide. Breath, respiration, fluid and easy. When you feel balanced on both sides, right heel spins up, and we are into crescent. It can be a little bit wider. Make sure you take full advantage of your space. And we'll drop our hands and return to mountain. Sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale through forward fold. Inhale your way into half lift. Exhale your way back into fold. Plant your hands. We'll walk to down dog. And shift forward to plank. Good, strong vertical arm stack here. Slowly, gently, delicately lower yourself down to your belly. Flip the tops of the feet. Keep the hands right where they are. Squeeze the elbows in. And lift the forehead maybe a ½ inch to 2 inches off the mat. Quads are flexed so the kneecaps are lifted. Think about the pressure in that anterior shoulder capsule and energize the elbows into the rib cage so that you can adjust to the appropriate pressure. And then release your forehead to the mat and take the tops of the feet maybe 1 inch or 2 inches off the mat. Good strong quad squeeze, good strong glute squeeze to protect the lumbar spine. And we'll drop the feet, slide the hands underneath the forehead for a little crocodile pose. Really relax into the respiration here. Really thinking about soft, fluid, easy, full cycles on both the inhale and exhale side of your breath. And we'll give ourselves 30 more seconds here. When it feels appropriate for you, slide our hands underneath our shoulders, press ourselves up to hands and knees, tabletop. Lay the fingers out wide. Think about reestablishing the geometry of tabletop so that someone could rest a set of tea on your back and it would stay perfectly aligned. Curl your toes, lift your seat, and roll back into down dog. He slides off. And when it feels appropriate, we'll walk our way forward into fold. Inhaling into half lift. Exhaling back into fold. Drift your awareness to your sacrum. We'll roll or sweep our way up into mountain. Hands coming together at heart center. Balancing the weight distribution between the left and right side of the body and the left and right side of each foot. And then when it feels appropriate, let's take our left knee up into that half Karate Kid and see if you can tuck the left heel behind you towards your glute. If that's accessible to you, see if it's possible to capture the left ankle or foot with your left hand. If that's not, stay in our half Karate Kid. So we're either in half Karate Kid or we have that left foot captured behind us or kind of to the side of us. And just see if it's possible to take your right arm and extend it skyward or ceilingward. Lay the toes out on the right foot. And then we'll release that left foot down. And reestablish mountain, rebalance our weight distribution. Definitely can be challenging because of the shifting of the femoral head. So relax into balance here, I think is the best way to just recapture. And then when it's appropriate for you, right knee comes up, half Karate Kid. We either stay here, we see if it's possible to capture the right ankle or right toe mound with our right hand. Staying vertical and then seeing if it's accessible to take that left hand skyward. Note how the lateral edge of the hips are responding to the forced unilateral stability. And eventually, when you feel balance left to right, the right foot comes down. And we're back in mountain. Inhale the hands together at heart center. Slide your left foot straight back into lunge. Sweep the arms to crescent. Ground the left heel and roll to 2. Good vertical awareness of the torso. And then keep the hips where they are, and we're going to roll to 1. So torso rotates, arms reach towards the ceiling or sky. Hug back into that anterior right hip crease and really sink into the front leg. And we're rolling back to 2. Make sure that you get the torso to fully unwind. And then left heel spins up and we're into crescent. Capture the full depth of this shape. And then we'll drop the hands and return to mountain. Just a relaxed stability in mountain, a relaxed stability in the posture, in the structure, in the breath, in the moment in practice. And then we go to side two. Right foot slides straight back. Sweep the arms to crescent. Strengthen the back leg, roll to two. Keep the hips where they are, torso rolls forward, anterior hip crease on the left side rolls back. Arms reach up. We smooth into that front leg. Laying the toes out on both feet. And then we're back into two. Make sure you fully unwind. Right heel spins up, we're into crescent. Make sure you capture the width of the depth of the shape here. Hands drop and we'll step back into our mountain. Sweep the arms behind us. Interlace the fingers if that is possible for you. If not, just go to the side of the pants or shorts. Roll the scapula back and then push the thumbs down. So we have a pretty good activation across the shoulder girdle into that anterior shoulder capsule. Scapula back, thumbs down, and we're going to take our half fold. So just exhale forward. And then inhale back up into mountain. Take the scapula back again. Thumbs down again. And then exhale into half fold. And then release your arms. Inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Plant your hands, we'll walk to down dog. Think about a little strength here in down dog. Get the weight back into the hips. And then when it feels appropriate, we'll come down to hands and knees, tabletop, flip the tops of the feet, and sink our way back into child's pose. As we drop our way into child's pose, anterior hip crease receiving, exhale breath continuing to soften us into the shape. The clockwork calendar structure had worked for decades for this farmer. Until it didn't. One March 2nd, the day after they had planted the seedlings, him and everyone else he knew planted the seedlings. A frost came through and wiped out nearly everyone's crops. Nearly everyone, because there was one old woman who lived way up in the hills who was seen planting on March 15th. Putting out seedlings, and people started talking about how she was lucky, how she was lazy. But that autumn, it was her fields that nourished the community. Last 15 seconds here. When it feels appropriate for you, hands grip into the mat in front of us if they're not already there. We'll pull our way forward to hands and knees tabletop. Hands and knees tabletop, curl your toes, lift your seat, and find your way into down dog. And from down dog, let's walk our way forward into fold. Inhaling into half lift. And exhaling back into fold. Drift your awareness to your sacrum. We'll roll or sweep our way up into mountain. Reconnecting with the generalized ease of mountain. And then when it feels appropriate, let's bring our left knee up into a little half karate kid. Again, we're going to stay here if this feels like it is enough. If we can connect that left hand to our left ankle or toe mound, let's do that. And this may feel like enough. If it's possible to take our right hand ceiling or skyward, let's do that. This may feel like enough. If it's possible to start to push that left ankle or toe mound back behind you and start to tilt that right hand out towards the space in front of you, let's do that. So we're just looking for the mechanism of balance, of stability that feels optimal for us this evening, and just pushing towards that place. And then we'll realign, drop the left foot, bring our hands together at heart center. Notice any asymmetry in the hips and the quads and the balance, and think about relaxing our way back into balance. When it feels appropriate for you, we'll head to side two. Right knee is going to come up into a half karate kid and stay here. This can feel like the appropriate amount of balance. Maybe we take the right hand towards the right ankle or toe mound. This may feel like the right amount of balance. Maybe we extend the left arm. Same thing. And maybe we feel like pushing that right ankle or foot back behind us and extending that left arm out. Any of these positions that feel like they're just giving us enough stability challenge, enough respiration challenge, enough focus challenge is perfect. Eventually we'll re-vertical, release the right foot, and sweep the hands together at heart center. Left foot slides straight back and behind us. Sweep the arms to crescent. Left heel grounds to 2. Smooth our way into the space. Roll the torso to warrior 1. Smooth into that right quad. And then tilt the torso forward, reach the arms towards the front of your room. Elongate the spine, and then sweep your way back up and drop to 2. Left heel spins up or into crescent. Get the depth of this shape. Space between both heels. Drop the hands and we'll return to mountain. And we just relax. When it feels appropriate for you, right foot slides straight back. We get our depth, and from our depth, we'll sweep our arms to crescent. Ground to 2. Rotate the torso, keep the hips where they are. To 1. Move into the depth of the shape. And then tilt the torso forward and elongate the spine. Sweep your way back up into warrior 2. Right heel spins up or into crescent. Feel the distance between both feet here. And then drop your hands and return to the front of the mat. Sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale through forward fold. Inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Plant your hands. We'll walk our way into down dog. Strength of down dog. Once again, the weight is back in the hips. We're getting the length in the spine. We're feeling the fingerprints engage into the mat. Come down to hands and knees. Tabletop. And sweep the legs straight out in front of us in a staff. Nice work. In staff, think about the sit bones allowing for the verticality of the spine that sweep our arms up and overhead, and then just tilt your way forward into what feels appropriate. Remember, the knees can bend here. We're looking for a little bit of release so that each breath offers some more depth. Really should talk about that more, is that when we find our way into a shape, especially in a static hold, the expansive capacity of the shape is transferred to the respiration. And so as you're seated here in this traditional fold, think about the exhale allowing for more space. Each successive exhale allowing for more space. We'll give ourselves about 60 more seconds here. One more big, full inhale breath. And an exhale that allows you to capture any last available space. We'll walk ourselves up into seat. And from staff, let's lower ourselves onto our backs. Just releasing into the mat here. Allowing for the reception of the mat here. Allowing the mat to hold you. Support you. Offer you everything that you need in this moment. When it feels appropriate for you, bring your knees into a bent position if they're not already there, so kneecaps can point towards the ceiling. And with an exhale, let's let both knees fall over to the left. Inhale back to neutral. Exhale to the right. And we'll inhale to neutral. Exhale to the left. Inhale to neutral. Exhale to the right. Inhale to neutral. We'll exhale to the left, and we're going to allow the legs to find a little static hold here. Release into the twist here. The next year, around March 1st, everyone was a little bit more cautious. They still put their seedlings in, but they worried about it. Things were normal that year. They started out normal. Because by the time that July 4th rolled around, a lot of the fields were looking extra crisp. It had been a very drought-heavy season. Minimal rain. So the plants were starting to crisp up, leaves browning slightly. And yet, it was July 4th, so it was time to spread the duck manure, fertilize the crops, supercharge them for the rest of summer. And so, about everyone in the community did. And just about everyone had the exact same result. The plants, the extra influx of nitrogen and without the extra influx of hydration, crisped, withered, and died. July 15th, when the monsoons rolled in, it was too late for just about everyone. This old woman on the hill who had a huge pile of duck manure that she was out spreading in the monsoon rains. And it was at this point that people started to think that maybe this woman was some type of a witch. Maybe she had been cursing the community for these last 2 years. But that autumn, it was her crops, her fields that again nourished the community. Give yourself just 30 more seconds here. When it feels appropriate, we'll bring our knees back to neutral. Let the bottoms of the feet come together and the knees fall out wide. As the medial line opens up here, as the hips rotate into this external rotation, think about balancing the weight distribution right to left, and then bring your knees back to neutral. And we'll exhale and let the knees fall over to the right for a little static twist. the next year. After 2 successive years of poor harvests for almost everyone, every one of these farmers was on edge. When they planted on March 1st, they prayed that frost wouldn't come. Rains were normal that season, and they spread the manure on July 4th. They prayed that rains would continue. And they did. And all across this community, the crops were looking incredible. They got to September. We're almost 25 days away from harvest. It seemed like it was going to be the ideal growing season for everyone. Everyone from the man who ran his farm like clockwork all the way to the old woman on the hill. When it feels appropriate for you, we're going to slowly bring our knees back to neutral. Bottoms of the feet come together one more time and let the knees fall out wide. For a little balance. And then when it's appropriate, we'll bring our knees back to neutral and ask yourself if you might want, need, or could benefit from any last movement, any last adjustments, any last tweaks prior to Shavasana. If you can, let's offer them now. If you have everything you need, just drop into a shape where we can appreciate some stillness. On March 15th, people saw the old woman on the hill harvesting and filling this huge truckload full of crops. They all kind of snickered at her, wasting a week of growing, a prime week of growing her crops. But on the 16th, when an early frost hit and wiped out the community's crops, the woman looked like she was prophetic once again. Just finding your version of stillness. He runs this farm like clockwork. Sees this old woman driving a truckload of produce down from her farm. He decides he needs to figure out what she's doing. He's gone 3 years in a row without a crop, and she's gone 3 years in a row being the only one to harvest. Later that day, he drives up to her house, gets out of his truck. He's out in the field. He walks up to her and he says, "How are you doing this?" "Same as you, I suppose. Move our fingers and our toes." He says, "Well, you can't quite be the same as me because I've had crops die 3 years in a row and you've harvested 3 years in a row, so we must be doing something different. How are you predicting all these catastrophes?" Movement up into your wrists and your ankles. She kind of laughs. "Predicting these catastrophes, well, I'm no fortune teller." Movement to your elbows, your knees, your shoulders, your hips, neck, head, jaw, eyes, tongue. Eventually, the whole body moves, and we'll utilize that movement to transition our way up into a seat. And he says, "Well, you must be some kind of a fortune teller. How'd you do it?" As well, one thing I can tell you is it wasn't fortune. Preparedness, maybe. 3 years ago, there was an early frost, right? And he says, "Yeah, it wiped out my entire field." "Well, it wiped out my entire field too. But I had extra seedlings, and so I planted them when the cold weather left." Just finding your anchored seat, letting your eyes close here. 2 years ago, it was dry. I didn't know if I could put the duck fertilizer down, so I put it down on half the crops, and I didn't put it down on the rest. The half the crops that I put it down on died, same as yours. She says this year's kind of the same thing. Felt like it might be getting a little cold a little soon, so I harvested half the crops. Still lost half the crops. Prepared for planting more. With your next inhale, let's bring our hands together, heart center. Over the course of the next 7 days, can you remind yourself that our world can never betray you as long as you're not expecting it to play out the way you'd planned? See how that impacts your experience. Thank you so much for being a part of this evening's practice and for being you. Namaste.